All right, guys, we're among the stones with Derek Palmeri here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Derek.
So I'm 32 years old. I live in upstate New York. I've been specifically grip training for a little bit over a year now, ever since last summer. And before that was about 8 or 9 years of just straight up weightlifting, like originally bodybuilding, then powerlifting, mostly powerlifting. So I accidentally stumbled into grip last summer. I was actually dealing with inner elbow pain at the time when I was bench pressing. I was trying to
Okay.
figure out why I was getting it. And this is like my first semester of grad school. So I wasn't really great with like the biomechanics and the anatomy of it yet. So I was like, all right, maybe it has something to do with my grip strength because a lot of those muscles come off the elbow. So I went onto the website, Rogue Fitness. I bought a 5-piece set of Captains of Crush grippers. They called it like the advanced set. It was the trainer through the 2.5.
Hmm.
And I got them. I closed them all. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I posted my equipment to the home gym Facebook group, and somebody saw it and they were like, hey, the 2.5 is really heavy, right? And I was like, what? Like, I didn't know. I just like closed them all. I didn't know anything about it. So they told me about like how close that was to the 3 and all the certifications, and I didn't
Hmm.
know anything about that. So like I kind of got pretty hooked on it. And coincidentally, I think that was also about the same week that we were actually dissecting the forearm muscles on a real, well, not a live human being, but in grad school. So like I kind of got into grip as I was getting a chance to see real grip muscles in real life. So it was kind of an exciting two things happening at the same time. So not long after that, well, at first I had no idea what I was doing. I would only do TNS closes, the table no set with one
Hmm.
hand. I saw videos of people setting. I was like, oh, that's cheating. I didn't really understand it at the time. But so by then I had gotten a 3 in the mail. I was like, oh, let's try the 3. It looks pretty cool. And I just about almost gotten it, table no set. And I posted to
Wow.
the grip strength Facebook group. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? I'm so close, but I'm just not getting it. And somebody was like, oh, why don't you try setting it with your other hand? I was like, okay. So I set it. The first time I tried setting the 3, I closed it with a credit card. That was about 2 months, 2 or 3 months into grip training. And that was later I had it rated. That was a 147. So about a pretty average 3. But ever since then, I did deal with some brief tendonitis and my extensor carpi ulnaris just from getting all these different grip toys like wrist rollers and the anvil,
Hmm.
trying to do them all at once. And it's too much to handle. But I've kind of cycled around training different things like getting to rolling thunder and pinching and stuff, but like as of right now, like I'm just solely focused on crush. That's not I'm a busy doctorate student in the middle of like a semester. I just want to do the training that I enjoy most. So I'm kind of
Right.
primarily crushing right now. For the most part, that's about it.
Okay. So like you said, you closed the number three a couple months after you got into playing with grippers, and you closed
Mhm.
the 2.5 first time you got your hands on grippers.
Yep.
What do you think in your powerlifting training gave you a good foundation for grip? Did you deadlift a lot without straps, or is there anything specific you did in your powerlifting training that you think gave you a good grip on foundation?
I'm not sure how much transferred over. I mean, obviously a lot of it did transfer over, but my stance on deadlifts was that as soon as I got to 5 plates, about 500 pounds, I did that all mixed grip. I was like, I'm gonna vow to myself that once I hit 500, I'm just gonna do double overhand and straps because I personally I've competed powerlifting once for fun, but I don't compete anymore. So to me, it's not worth it to risk a bicep tear just to say I'm doing mixed grips. So I deadlift as a posterior chain exercise. I don't use them for gripping. So like I'll maybe I can double overhand over 4 plates if I want to, but usually I'm pretty lazy and I just use straps to about there and I focus on the posterior chain. I never really did any specific grip work before then. I tried to get into grip years ago. I bought like a plastic, it was like an orange and black hand gripper off Amazon. I broke it and I was like, oh well, that sucks. And I kind of forgot about it. The only other one time I did train grip was I met one of my friends, his name is Winston, shout out to him, at a local powerlifting gym, and he had brought one of his barrel strength rolling handles. I'd never seen anything like it. So he was just showing it to me. We were messing around at the gym and like um I wouldn't say that's what sparked my interest in crush, because I was like, oh, that's cool. But it was years later that I actually finally got crush grippers, and I was like, oh wow, this is really fun. And it's also kind of more fun because like I didn't realize that I was good at it. Like somebody told me, oh, you're actually pretty strong at that. I was like, oh, I guess maybe I am. So, and now I'm over here crushing 3.5s and Grip Genie 6 all of a sudden. So
Yep.
that's kind of fun.
Yeah, those are some stout grippers. People train a long time to close those, so it's pretty damn killer, man. So
Thank
how
you.
often a week do you train your grippers?
So that's a good question. I've been on quite a journey when it comes to training. Like I've had different approaches. I would say that in the past about 6 weeks, I've made more progress than I have over the past year or so. Because just to track back a little bit, how my old approach was that I was obviously pretty good at closing heavy grippers, but I had a lot of limitations as far as not really knowing how to program them. Because it's like some days I would be able to close at 3, sometimes I wouldn't. And it was like there was a lot of inconsistency in my technique, or maybe I was under recovered or things like that. So I would say that what changed is that I did decide to sign up for gripper programming from Jed Johnson. I'm doing his cadence-based training. It's like a 9-week long gripper program. Not very expensive. I think it's a very good investment if you're serious about doing crush grippers. So I started that about 7, 8 weeks ago. It's taken me a little bit longer because of grad school. Sometimes I take extra rest days and whatnot. But that combined with I also brought his crush DVD just to I said to myself, if I really want to treat this as like my priority, which this is my priority over even over powerlifting right now, just to get good at crush. So I said I want to learn as much as I possibly can so that I have no possible excuses as to why I'm not improving. So I watched the DVD. It actually, I would say that it fixed my set technique because that was what was inconsistent previously. Even back when I did my certification for GHP 7 4 reps, which that put me number 44 in the world on the leaderboard. If you watch my video on that, I didn't really know what I was doing setting. I was doing like
Mhm.
a 2-finger pinch with my fingers extended. Like it's not that it doesn't work, but it has its limitations into how strong it is. Especially you can get away with messy technique for like a GHP 7 or a COC 3, but once you're doing like 3.5s, like you gotta have strong technique and consistent. Because like if anything's like 1 millimeter off, that's like enough to make a bad set and not get the
Yep.
close. So I actually I made my own set technique video that I put on YouTube a while ago. Just from I kind of came up with my own cues as to what I look for in my hands when I'm setting the grip, or all the things I tell myself, like, oh, this distance and this is parallel to this and blah blah blah. So and that's kind of things I've taken from a lot of different tutorials I've seen and things that I've came up with myself that fits my own hands. And funny enough, I have 7.25 inch long hands, which are not very big at all to be doing this stuff. So I'm not really sure what my secret is, but I seem to be crushing things over here and steadily progressing ever since I started a real program. So,
There's been a few guys back in the history of the grip board that had hands that size or even smaller, 7 inch hands, or a couple guys that could close number fours from a deep set.
oh wow.
Timu could close a number four with about a 7 inch hand, as far as if I remember right. Yeah, monster grip right there.
One thing I do want to bring up as to my old training when I was just messing around versus now, I had been closing a lot of my goal grippers from a choke set with
Mhm.
just hose clamps from parallel. So I'd
Yeah,
closed the 3.5, actually a higher rated one, 173, quite a while ago, and I closed the GG6 a while ago from parallel. So I was like, that brought my confidence up a little bit because I was like, all right, I know I have the end range, but something's missing. It's
yeah.
I couldn't physically set grippers that heavy. Even the standard Cobalt 163, which I did recently, like if you asked me a couple months ago, I would have never dreamed of being able to set that. I could close it choked, but it's like I couldn't figure out how to set something that heavy. And now that I can, I'm just like smashing these giant grippers. So it's been a really exciting bout of progress recently. Like I didn't think I'd be at this level.
Yeah, I've
That's
actually
incredible.
found that I've closed a 151 in a choker, but the heaviest I've closed outside of chokers is like a 138. So definitely there's a difference when you can really get your hand around it,
Yeah.
without having to do that under the tension. Absolutely. I think that makes a big difference. I mean, obviously, that's over 10 pounds.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say too much about what this program has me doing because it is a paid for program. It's not very expensive, but like it does have you just drill set practice, like not even doing a close, just practice setting. And it's like that's the kind of stuff that I needed to be doing to get to where I am now, because that was what was really lacking beforehand.
Right. Absolutely agree. Same thing with playing with grippers. I have a hard time doing silver bullet hold much more than I can max, and you should be able to. Like if I
Yeah.
could only close a 2.5, I should be able to silver bullet hold a 3.
Yeah.
But I struggle with that.
Well, you've got to set it first to be able to do it. So
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I lack that power too, and you'd close chokers easier. Same experience I've had.
Another thing when I was messing around with my training, like I said, I didn't really know how to schedule my sessions. A lot of the time I would just try to max, get really frustrated, and then I just use my grip machine, which the Iron Mind Go Really grip machine, it's a great piece of equipment, but like at the same time, it doesn't train your technique for grippers. Like you can just I've mashed like 360 pounds on it from I think 39 millimeters on it. I stack it up with wood to like the height I want to crush at. And so, I mean, I was still getting strength training in, but like that wasn't fixing my set issue, which I consider I probably now fixed at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's more for just overall crush strength.
Yeah.
So what are your goals? What are you after? You after the Mash Monster ladder? I know you've gotten the MM0, or are you like, I mean, do you plan on getting multiple certs in grippers? Do you plan on going for, I know you went for the number 3 and you've gotten the Mash Monster 0. I know you went for Iron Mind certs. What other certs are, you aiming for?
So here's my story on search right now. The first one I did was I actually did GHP7 twice. I first started 3 reps, then I later did 4 reps. I did attempt the Iron Mind 3 in December. I did close the gripper with both hands, but I guess I moved the card too fast, so they called it for that. I
Okay.
mean, I had to pass an audition video to be able to get sent the cert gripper to do it anyways. I sent them like a top view, so I don't know if they realized like I just put it in from the side and I pulled it out. They would like to see it go in from the top all the way through the center and out the bottom. Like I didn't really realize that. So I mean, I'll do it again at some point, but I'm not really training credit card sets at the moment. I really like the GHP search just because it's something you can film during your training, and if you get it, you get it. But it's like you kind of get unlimited chances. So I think it's just something I like working on. So right now my main goal is GHP 8, which that was another gripper I would have never dreamed of being able to physically set. I actually I might have closed it the other day. I don't know. It went out of frame. Ever since my setting and gripping style has recently changed a lot, like where I kind of swing my arm up and down a bit. So I've
Mm-hmm.
actually started filming vertical rather than horizontal. So my videos lately, like sometimes I get out of frame. Like I'm working on fixing that, but I'm pretty close to I might have closed the GHP 8 or maybe a millimeter or two away. I don't know, but I'm gonna film it better next time. But I would like to start on that. Obviously, I'm doing a Mash Monster set to start off right now, but I'm gonna widen it up to fit the block in there to do that. Yeah, I did do MMO recently. I should have done that like a year ago. I mean, I've been closing threes the whole time. I had to look up the rules, like how you submit it and how you
Yeah.
film it and stuff. So that was actually a warm up when I submitted mine. That was before I did the Grip Genie 6 the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I am thinking about MM1. I just want to make sure I get my filming technique figured out right ever since
Yeah.
I switched to vertical, because you got to have it in the frame the whole time. You can't be throwing it off
Yeah.
frames.
Absolutely. So do you feel like that's something I actually wanted to talk to you about was your technique, because you kind of have a unique technique. And I've used that kind of like the arm swing thing too. Do you find that you get more power when you use like more of an arm swing than when you keep your hand steady?
So that's actually something new I picked up recently too, especially from watching Jed Johnson on his Crush DVD. He's got a lot of tips in there, but I like if you watch my old videos versus now, like I used to just sit there and my hand would barely move. But I do think what you said is correct, and that theory is actually called muscle irradiation, where when you contract other nearby muscles, like even like your shoulder, you're stabilizing there, you can get like an overall stronger gripping power just because you're kind of contracting the nearby muscles. Like,
Yeah.
so another thing that I do that I think is really important is the Valsalva maneuver. It's a breathing technique. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, I do that. I do find that kind of raising my arm up and throwing it down, what I'm doing is elbow extension. And I just think that the nearby additional movements, they're almost like a distraction as well. Like not only am I using more muscles that are nearby innervated, I'm kind of doing an easier movement at the same time as the harder movement, which is the gripping. It's similar to like at my old dentist, to distract me from putting the Novocaine in, he would shake my lip around a little bit and like I'd
Yeah.
focus on the lip thing and not notice the painful thing. So not that the gripping is painful, but I think distracting yourself by doing other movements may help in the long run. Because when you're doing like when you're closing a 3.5, you got to give it everything you got. Like
Yeah.
you can't
Oh, there's
falter.
definitely a lot of like, force resistance against it, obviously. I mean, and that's a metal handle. So yeah, there's a little pain tolerance there. And I think that distracting yourself from that with something else, I think yeah, it makes total sense.
I mean, my right wrist is an area where I've had tendonitis in the past in two different places. So I kind of like sometimes I still do get like muscle guarding where I'm like, I know it's not going to hurt, but just because it has in the past, like you can be cautious about using it because you think it might hurt again. But so I know it's harder to film that way, but I do find that the elbow extension, like you just get like a really like vigorous close when you do that.
Yeah, I think some steel benders use a similar thing. Huge, like,
Yeah, they get, or the
they get
even
a
they're
lot
really
of
far back.
extra
Yeah.
muscle engagement for sure, because that
Mm-hmm.
takes a lot of
Well, that's
explosive
why you got to
energy as
flex
well.
your back backwards so far too to even get in that position.
So you've done some rolling thunders lifts and things like that. Have you played around with any other grip tools, or have you thought about doing any like type of grip competitions or anything in the future with grip other than just the
Yeah,
grippers?
especially after grad school and all that.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of fun. It's actually it kind of sucks for me because like I get to watch everybody going to competitions, having fun on Instagram, like people that I'd like to meet, and I'm just stuck in grad school right now, at least through spring 2024. But I mean, I think I would like to get out and do one. I mean, I do use other implements. I have quite a lot of equipment, but you obviously you can't train everything at once. Like when I was
Right.
doing rolling thunder, I wasn't crushing a lot, and vice versa. I mean, I have a Saxon bar. I'm pretty average at that. I have an axle bar, but like I think crush is like that's the lift that I'm best at right now. Just I don't know if it's like a technique thing or it's just what I like doing most or what. But I mean, my Saxon bar lift is like 150 right now. I've done it a few times. I've done an axle bar of like 297 or something like that. So nothing super impressive, but I think right now I'm trying to see what I can do with crush. And I'm kind of just as far as powerlifting, I'm just kind of maintaining right now. I'm not really trying to progress at that, but just stay in shape right now.
And what's your GHP 8 rate at?
I have two of them. I have a 176 and a 175. I also have an adjustable choked one, which is 178. That's from Canon Powerworks. So I have three GHP 8s.
Nice.
So I got pretty close with the 175 the other day. I feel like I closed it. I just can't confirm until I get a better video, but definitely making a lot of progress over here right now. It's very exciting after I felt like I was kind of stalling and plateauing out for a while just until I finally got on that program and I watched that DVD and like now it's just been like skyrocketing out of nowhere. Another thing too is I've been actually I think I've been filing a lot of grippers. I think I filed 4 or 5 today, but I filed a 3 the other day. I filed a 147 that wasn't nearly as hard as I thought. I just filed my 152 number 3, so I'll try that sometime. So I also filed my Cobalt, which is 163. That should bring it to 171. So that's gonna be a fun one. But I figure like if I'm doing like mid 170s, like I really got to be like making it harder with the slightly lighter grippers as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of gains to be made in with filed grippers.
Beyond the Rage training has been there since like the very beginning of grippers. I mean, like if you go way back in the history of grippers to like Joe Kinney and whatnot, he had filed things that he used. So absolutely. I mean, that's foundational to grip training.
We have several.
Yeah.
I'd only had a few filed before. I filed a 1.5 by myself because I never use it anyways, just to see what it would be like. I bought a filed GHP 5 and GHP 6. Those are really nice. I love GHPs. Those are my favorite, by the way. But then I never really thought about it. I was like, I don't have anything filed that's heavier than that. So I had 3 sitting around. So I filed the 147, and I was like, it's not that much harder, but you're still getting more poundage and more range of motion.
Yep.
So that's going to make the bigger grippers that are not filed seem that much easier.
Absolutely. Do you do any do you do any other type of training like bullet training or coin holds or anything like that with your grippers?
I've done the silver bullet maybe a couple times. I forget. I know I've done it with a 3. I think maybe a 3.5. I haven't touched that in like a year. I don't really like coin holds that much. I think it's weird to do like such a tiny object, but my programming does have me doing things like that. I'd rather just hold a gripper closed without like something in between there. It's the same thing. But I actually did because I figure the coin hold is kind of a more open hand close, not by a lot, but I did that the other day with my Robert Baraband adjustable. I just got one of those with the 20mm handles. So I figured
Those
it's
are
kind of
nice.
a more open hand close. It's a really cool tool. I just wish the handles weren't so big. I've been thinking of finding that too. But another thing
20
that my
millimeter is a
programmer has
big
been doing
handle.
is
That's a pretty thick handle.
Well, especially
I
with
think
smaller hands.
I think the regular Barabands are close to that millimeter, aren't they?
I think that they've got to be the same size. I've never tried a regular because if I have adjustable, why get a regular gripper?
Yeah, they're one of the thickest handled grippers out there. I have a post out there where I like took a micrometer to like, I don't know, 10 different brands of grippers, like literally 10 different brands. And the Barabands were the biggest ones. Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting them to feel so easy, but I did. Based on the Canon PowerWorks ratings, I put up 150 on the Robert Baraband, and I was like, oh, that's not really that hard. Like I was expecting to be harder because of the bigger handles, but it was easy. Just like kind of like a Grip Genie is easier than the typical 19. Grip Genie is 18 millimeters. That's actually why I decided to go for the GG6 first when it comes to like approaching the mid 70s territory, because I was like, if I can just feel what that RGC feels like first on the thinner handles, like I'll be a lot more confident on doing that on a regular handle gripper. And it's not that it was easy. That's still a really heavy gripper, but it's easier to set and hold. So that kind of boosted my confidence for doing that. I actually I asked Grip Genie the other day. I said, make me a Grip Genie 7. We need something heavier. So I'm hoping they come out with
they should have
7s.
one. Honestly, that would help their market. I feel like. For reference, with the like black spring grippers, like the Grip Genies or the heavy grips or whatever, those kind of grippers, I have one that's rated at 126 pounds that I've done 16 reps with, and I have a COC 2.5 rated at 123 pounds, so 3 pounds less, that I've only been able to do 9 reps with. I think the black handled grippers are just smooth, or the black spring grippers, like the Grip Genies and those other brands. I think they're just smoother through the sweep and through the close, honestly, and they're just that smoother action. I think lends to an easier close, even if the poundage is a couple pounds heavier or whatever. So that makes sense that you feel like the Grip Genies are a little easier.
From what I've seen Matt say from Canon PowerWorks on various forms of stuff, apparently those are like kind of like a generic line of springs from China, the 100, 150, 200. The only brand I've tried them with is Grip Genie, but Grip
Yeah.
Genie, they have those much thinner handles, so that gives them um they're just easier to hold, but it's such a narrow spread too. Like you
Mhm.
barely have to set them at all.
Yeah,
Um
exactly.
yeah, I mean,
Same thing. It's the same thing with the heavy grips. Even with the thicker handles, their spread winds up being thinner or narrower. I mean, yeah.
that's why I've only used Grip Genie for fun, not like for serious training. Like I
Mhm.
don't consider like because 150 on a Grip Genie is so much easier than 147 on a COC3. It's just they're not even comparable. So I've never really used them for volume training, more so like when I'm kind of winding down from my training, I'm just tired of setting and I want to do something that's like fun and easy, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can always check the ratings at Matt's. He's rated a ton of those grippers, the 150 heavy grips or whatever like that, and you'll
Yeah.
find that like a 200 is about like a COC2. So yeah, it's way off.
Yeah, they are.
It's totally off, and that should be in the COC ratings. That would be like a 4. So no, the 200 in the heavy grips is really close to a number 2.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try the heavy grips, but like I can't like get myself to buy them yet. I'm just like I've got too many grippers already, but it's
Mhm.
at some point I'd like to try one. But
Yeah, they feel a lot like the Grip Genies, just with fatter aluminum handles.
so another thing that my program has me doing, it's called cadence-based training. The cadence part, it basically means it focuses on time rather than reps. So like I'm doing rep schemes, but he's got me basically progressive overloading, not through reps, but through how much time that I'm holding the grippers closed.
Hmm.
So
Over
that
like over crushing is what we used to call that, but yeah,
yeah, but
absolutely. Hmm.
sometimes specific amounts, sometimes as long as I can. But like I've been like I held a 2.5 shut for like 30 something seconds, and like I would have never thought to do that before. It's like
Yeah.
you really get strong from doing that. So I think that's another reason my training's been going so well, because like I'm a lot of my sessions are ended by doing that, and it knocks you out, but it's so much fun to do while you're doing it.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds like, a lot of fun mixing it up with grippers.
Yeah, I need to do that more.
Yeah, so much fun.
Do you have any questions?
No, I mean, like you're saying, when you get out of grad school, you might play around with other grip implements. So that'll be interesting to see what you can do once you get into that aspect. Or do you plan on going into powerlifting? Have you thought about going back
I
to
mean,
that route?
no, I mean, I have competed powerlifting. It's like there's a lot of competition there. It's fun to do, but like it's not like I don't need to lift a whole lot more than I'm already lifting. I'm pretty like I've hit a lot of my goals. I'm deadlifting over 500 and pretty happy doing that. I think I'm going to be pretty entertained with grip for quite a while. It's actually made me want to pursue hand therapy with my physical therapy degree once I finish it. Just because I find this stuff fascinating, like the forearm,
Right.
the everything. So
Yeah, with a 500-pound deadlift too, you should be fine when you go over to the axle.
Hmm.
400 should be no problem. Your posterior chain's already there, of course.
yeah, I mean
When
the
you learn
actual
that
is
technique.
it's harder because the center of mass is out farther in front of you. It's farther away from your body. So like
Yeah.
even like 300 pounds feels way harder on it. But yeah, I'm definitely liking grip a lot. I'm always gonna favor crush the most, I think. But I would like to at some point get to a grip competition just to try some more lifts and just to meet people too. Like I've never trained grip with anybody like crush grip. It's just been me myself at home, and I've learned a lot. I've read a couple books. I'm all over the forums. I'm on Reddit and Gripboard, and it's just like it's
Gripboard's
a
a great source.
Yes,
I've
it
been on
is.
there for
fun
years.
thing to
It's
be
been a good
obsessed with.
way back.
I think I've been on there for over a decade. Yeah, since
Yeah.
2008 or something. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of good information on the grip board. So
Yeah,
another side of grip is feats. Like not competitions, but feats, lifting the inch dumbbell, tearing a deck of cards in half, hubbing a 45, lifting the blob. There's all kinds of really cool feats in the world of grip. Do any of those draw your interest, and there's anything you want to train for with that regard, like the inch dumbbell, for instance, or anything like that?
that's a good question. So for the hub lifts, I've lifted it with both hands. I did a hub clean and jerk the other day. I overhead pressed it. I've also done a midair transfer with the 45 pound plate.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
Nice.
Another thing I've done is ever since we saw Chloe Brennan do the Denny Stones at that Rogue event at the Arnold, I was like, oh, that looks fun. I want to try that. So I got a set of handles, I got a set of pins. I lifted the full weight on my third rep trying it. I was like, all right, let's put on 550s, see what it feels like. It felt like nothing. So I just loaded up the full weight and I was like, okay. So I did the lift the first day. I didn't think it was that hard, but that's just me personally. It's a fun lift, but at some point I would like to go lift the real stones in Scotland.
Yeah, that's
I think
cool.
that'd be a fun time. It's just like I was like expecting to train it for a while and I just never really had to train it. So I mean I'm sure things like the inch dumbbell that I would be probably pretty capable of doing that. I've never had an opportunity to lift one before. But yeah, there's plenty of things that I'd like to try like that. Lots I've never tried tearing a deck of cards or anything like that. I would like to crush the apple. That'd be a fun one to
Yeah,
everybody wants to do that one.
of course.
Yeah, especially if you're into grippers, that's definitely going to be on your list.
Or a pop can.
Yeah.
Um I don't know what it is about grippers. My dad actually he had an Ivanko gripper that was sitting on the wall. Like even a
Yep.
couple
The
times
old
during my
super
childhood,
gripper.
like I picked it up and like I'd try squeezing it, but like I didn't really understand like what it was for, but like I always knew it was there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, those are cool. The Ivanco super grippers has been around forever. So before we let you go, is there anything that you wanted to say about grip training for newbies out there, or any tips you have for success, or anything that you just want to add, or anybody you want to plug or anything like that?
I mean, I've always got lots of tips. First of all, I just want to say I've been enjoying watching your progress towards the MMO. I mean, I see you grinding just about every other day or so. I don't know how often you train, but you're really close. You're getting there.
I'm getting there.
I'm really excited when you get it. But I mean, yeah, I've got all sorts of tips as far as like I take my diet and recovery very seriously, like my sleep. Like I think with Crush, like you have to really assign a priority level in your training and in your life. Like as far as how you place it in your session, like are you going to do it after you've been lifting for an hour? Are you going to start with doing it? Like I personally, I prioritize it the most. So I basically superset it with power lifts. Like I'll start repping my trainer before I even start warming up for my power lifts, and I'll kind of go back and forth. And by the time I'm doing my working sets on squats or whatever, I'm like on the 3 already. So I give it the highest priority. I think you also have to really, if you're going to be serious with Crush, like I would say don't do just Crush. Like full body training has so many benefits just for overall strength, your hormones, but it's going to make your crushing that much easier if you're generally in shape. I'm also a big macronutrient counter. Like I'm always counting my protein. I'm very solid on that. One thing I do want to recommend if for people out there that are unfamiliar with diet or macros or nutrient timing, any of those things, there's a book called Bodybuilding Nutrition by Franco Colombo. That's I always recommend that to everybody. I mean, if you need to know how much protein to eat, when to eat it, when to eat your carbs, what do fats do, and all those things, like just read the book and you'll be set for all this stuff. Because from bodybuilding, powerlifting, grip training, we all have the same bodies and metabolism. So that's the one thing you got to take care of first to be able to make all the progress with all these strength gains.
Yeah, talk about a legend, Franco Colombo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, speaking of people that are fit and do nutrition, the guy that lived forever and did feats and outclassed Arnold Schwarzenegger, the juicer guy,
Jack LaLanne.
Jack LaLanne, yeah. And he was huge into nutrition, and that was obviously one of his biggest statements too, to begin with, and that was a legend.
Absolutely. So it's been nice chatting with you today. Did you have any questions for us, Couch Potato Strong, before we let you go?
I don't think so. I've had a really fun time. This has been awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna send you a set of our golden potatoes and let you give a shot at that lift. That's a fun one.
I'm very excited for that. Thank you so much.
Test your fingertips quite a bit. It'll be definitely change of pace for you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how I do. We'll see. No promises, but I'll probably.
It's tough. Yeah, it's surprised a lot of gripsters out there. So, yeah. All righty. Well, take care. Have a nice day.
Yeah, appreciate you
Thanks
coming
so
on.
much. Nice meeting you guys. Talk to you
Nice
soon.
meeting you. All right.
Bye.